Okay. Good morning, respected judges and fellow researchers. Today, I got Mr. Gordon Malparis and Dr. Ambika Kamath, who wouldn't be here because of prior commitments, will be presenting our study titled The Synthesis of Dread, Junji Ito's Uzumaki as a Vector for Body Horror and Existential Cosmicism. This research explores the intersection of graphic media, literary theory, and existential philosophy. The content that I will be going over in this presentation is, of course, introduction, objectives, literature review, research gap, methodology, textual analysis and interpretation, and of course the significant contribution of this study, and following that will be my conclusion. So let's go into the introduction. While traditional Japanese horror often relies on the moral retribution and sentient ghost, as you can see, the onryo, the horrific ghost that haunts you and seeks revenge, Junji Ito's Uzumaki radically redefined cultural fear by substituting the sentient antagonist with an impersonal geometric pattern. This geometric pattern is the Uzumaki, otherwise known as the spiral. My central argument is that this motif acts as a vector to merge the deep terror of body horror with the psychological dread of existential cosmicism, illustrating the profound futility of human resistance against a meaningless cosmic order. The objectives of this study is, the primary objective is to examine how Ito domesticates cosmic dread by shrinking the scale of terror from vastness of space into mundane domestic sphere of Kurozucho, which is the primary setting of this manga as well as the anime. Key research question includes: how does Ito's background as a dental technician influence the surgical precision of his body horror? And how does the spiral function as both a physical curse and an ontological metaphor? Going over the literature review and the research gap, this study builds upon H.P. Lovecraft's framework of cosmic insignificance and the body horror tradition of biological anxiety. While J-horror scholarship typically focuses on onryo, as I told you, the vengeful spirit archetype, there is a distinct research gap regarding the post-onryo era, where the source of terror is amoral geometry. This research positions Uzumaki as a critical academic text that bridges Eastern folklore and Western existentialism. Of course, Uzumaki won the Eisner Award in 2003 and is recommended as the top 10 graphic novels to read for teenagers. Going over the methodology, I have utilized a qualitative interdisciplinary methodology combining comparative literary analysis with biological criticism. The theoretical framework leverages the Heideggerian concept of thrownness, where human beings are thrown into a pre-existing world with its own limitations, cultures, time, where individuals are, of course, cast upon a pre-existing world. By dissecting case studies like the Goshima family, which is the prime main protagonist family, I identify how abstract principles are translated into deep physical corruption, where their literal bodies turn into spirals, and it's a really graphic and horrific sight. The result and textual analysis of this is that the result demonstrates that Ito's surgical aesthetics, he was a dentist before he was a mangaka, characterized by how high contrast line work mirrors the cold eye of a medical practitioner. For example, the fatal horror in the hospital sequence subverts maternal sanctity into parasitic resource acquisition. Furthermore, there is a specific manga chapter called Twisted Souls, where star-crossed lovers signify the final surrender. When their families oppose them, they literally turn their bodies into spirals and become like snake-like beings, where they become together. And the wording that is used is, I believe, steel wires. We cannot cut through this. This is steel wires, and they escape through the ocean. What happens to them is left for interpretation, of course. And this, of course, shows the complete physical absorption into a cosmic pattern. The significant contribution of this research to the humanities is that it proposes that Ito's horror is a mathematical haunting, where human biology is pre-adapted for its own geometric collapse. It affirms a universal nihilistic philosophy where civilization is merely a temporary growth that the spiral eventually will harvest and consume. Human resistance is rendered futile because the curse is an inescapable law of cosmic timing and eternal reoccurrence. There are theories on why this continuously happens, what does the spiral want, what does it want with us, and eventually when you reach towards the end of the manga and towards the end of the anime, you realize that it is all meaningless, it is futile, you cannot escape the Uzumaki, you cannot escape the horror. And because of this, you are constantly sucked in, you're constantly sucked to the center where time is irrelevant. So going forward, these were my references. And I would like to conclude with the final realization of the text itself. Ito ends his masterpiece, his magnum opus, not with a sense of relief, but with a chilling confirmation of eternal reoccurrence. As Kire notes in the final chapters of the manga, the curse was over the same moment it began. This confirms our theory, mine and Dr. Ambika's theory and thesis. In the face of the amoral geometric absolute, human civilization is merely a temporary growth on the ruins of the past, waiting for the inevitable moment when the eternal spiral will once again wake up. Human resistance, as I earlier stated, is not just difficult, it is logically impossible with the circularity of Ito's cosmic timing. Thank you for your time and attention.